What's up guys, welcome to a camera test comparison between the Galaxy S24 Ultra versus the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We are currently shooting in 4K 60, not 4K 60, 4K 30 FPS, but in portrait video mode on both phones. Let me know how the quality looks, how the colors look, how the background blur looks, and yeah, let's move towards the back camera. So now we're shooting in cinematic mode on both phones, currently at 1x level. You can see both phones have picked up the face very nicely. You can see the blur as well, and you can switch to 2x on both phones, again looking pretty good. You can see the difference in the skin tones as well as how the background blur is looking. Now on Samsung S24 Ultra, you can change the background strength while you're shooting the video, as you can see in the background, and I can apply different effects and it's doing it while we're shooting, whereas on the iPhone I can only do this after the video is taken, which I can't do on Samsung. So both have a bit of a different implementation for this feature. Now both phones are capable of shooting the cinematic video up to 3x level, so I'm gonna quickly zoom on both phones. You can see how they're looking still very much sharp, very reasonably sharp. So now we're shooting outside in 4K 60 FPS on both phones. You can check how dynamic range and colors are looking. Again, 4K 60 with auto FPS on, and I can easily switch lenses on both phones. It's very smooth. Can go all the way. Samsung can go up to 20x, iPhone can go up to 15x, and they still feel very stabilized. However, I think Samsung is handling the hand vibrations better. So I'm switching back to the 1x lens. So now we're shooting the videos indoor 4K 60 FPS. So this is kind of a low light scenario. And as we know, Samsung says a lot about the night video performance improvements in the video. So that's what we are testing out. So again, this is 60 FPS with auto FPS turned on, which means phones can regulate the FPS according to the low light situation. So you can notice as soon as we have more light, frame rate has gone up, and you can also see how differently both phones are processing the light source at the end. So if we just move back and go towards more of a low light position in the room, you can see which one is doing better. Let's check out this area. Again, it feels very dark, I mean to my eyes, but it's probably well lit on the phones, which is pretty good. And now I'm going to quickly switch to the ultra wide sensor just to see how that low light video is. So that's a quick test. Now, before we look at the photos, here's a quick comparison of the 8K Samsung S24 Ultra video in action. We have noticeably more detail in the 8K video when zoomed in. We can also shoot 8K video with the 5x lens, and it has a little bit more detail, but not a lot compared to what we saw with the main lens. Now, moving on to the portrait mode photos, these are one of the best phones to shoot portrait mode photos, but they have some few key differences. Samsung loves to process as well as boost colors on the image compared to Apple, which has more of a neutral look. Again, it's going to come down to personal preference. Now, when it comes to portrait edge detection, both phones are really good, but Apple is kind of on a different level. For example, in this shot, you can see how Apple has separated that hair strand and cached it completely. But as soon as we switch to the 5x lens, where the sensor gets the best info for portrait depth, Samsung was able to capture that hair strand as well. Now, when it comes to night portrait mode photos, Samsung combines night mode with portrait mode on all lenses, whereas Apple only limits portrait night mode only to 1x lens. Which is why in this shot at 5x level, you can see such a big difference. Now, moving on to the daytime shot, starting with the ultra wide angle lens, you can see both phones are really good. HDR is on point, but as soon as we go towards the main photo, 1x photo, that's where the HDR on the S24 Ultra is doing a bit of matte thing. I don't know if sometimes it can glitch, but Apple has kept that good. And then the HDR comes back when we go to the zoom lenses. As we punch in towards the 5x zoom, a lot of detail on both phones, but at 10x you can definitely see less noise on the S24 Ultra and a little bit more detail. Now, another ultra wide shot, both phones are looking pretty good, just a bit of a difference in how they handle colors. HDR in this particular image is definitely looking better on the S24 Ultra. Now, switching to the 1x lens, pretty difficult shot. You can see HDR is blown out on Samsung, whereas on the iPhone you can still see some of the background through the trees, as well as the sky is not too bright. Zooming in, 3x on the S24 Ultra versus 2x. There is no 3x lens on the iPhone, so it only does 2x, and then it moves straight to the 5x lens. Both phones are doing incredibly well. Again, just a bit of a difference in how the colors are looking. And finally, at 10x, you can see that although the iPhone image is not bad, but it does have a little bit more noise if you notice around the book compared to the S24 Ultra's 10x shot. At 25x, you can see Galaxy S24 Ultra has that natural kind of look, while the iPhone is looking quite a bit processed. Furthermore, you can go all the way 100x on the S24 Ultra. Now, with the S24 Ultra, you can take 50 megapixel 5x photos, and when you crop in and look at the details, it's definitely going to be sharper than a 12 megapixel iPhone photo. Now, here we have a comparison of a 48 megapixel shot on the iPhone versus 50 megapixel on the S24 Ultra. You can definitely see a similar detail, but you can bump things up thanks to 200 megapixel for the S24 Ultra. If you have the patience for that processing, you can definitely get more detail, but only use this when you have a great lighting scenario. Some more daytime samples. As I said before, both phones, they like to cook images differently. Same thing with the 5x lens. Again, great detail. It's just that iPhone likes to keep things neutral, whereas Samsung goes with more of a boosted look. Now, the iPhone shoots in 24 megapixel resolution by default, which gives it a bit more detail compared to the 12 megapixel shots on the S24 Ultra, but you can actually take 24 megapixel photos on the S24 Ultra as well when you use the Expert RAW app. So in this particular example, you can see the detail on the S24 Ultra compared to the previous 12 megapixel shot looks a lot more natural. Hopefully Samsung can include 24 megapixel by default with the default camera app. Here's a 5x portrait of my stray cat. Once again, iPhone is doing better with the HDR in the background. When it comes to selfies, both shoot at 12 megapixel with great detail. Now, Apple still doesn't allow you to take a wider portrait mode, so it crops in. But overall, in terms of detail, both are looking good. Again, the difference in the skin tones, it's all going to come down to personal preference. Now, when it comes to night mode selfies, Apple likes to brighten things up by using the actual screen brightness, which can be a little bit too much, whereas Samsung likes to use the actual processing and not use the screen brightness, which can give more of a nicer result, at least in this example. Now, based on how the lighting is, this is where iPhone didn't use the screen brightness, so this is just a proper processing comparison. Once again, difference in the skin tones. iPhone 15 Pro Max has kept my face kind of neutral with a slightly little bit more noise, whereas S24 Ultra has completely dialed in that sharpness. More night mode samples of the building from ultra wide angle lens, you can see pretty good on both devices, going to 1x, quite a lot of detail. Switching to the 3x versus 2x lens, again there's a shift in the color science. We notice the 3x image has turned a bit magenta on the S24 Ultra. At 5x level, we have pretty much equal detail on both devices. Here we have a macro shot on both phones. In all honesty, both phones do a great job when it comes to macro photos. So all in all, Galaxy S24 Ultra still remains the zoom king in most scenarios. I love that it utilizes night mode for portrait shots in all lenses. It's such a good feature. I hope Apple also enables that for the 5x lens especially. Now, I'm not completely satisfied with the HDR performance on the S24 Ultra. Sometimes it can act a bit random. Hopefully they can fix that with the update. It doesn't happen in every shot, but it can happen randomly. As for the video, I'm very satisfied with the 4K 60 performance in daytime on both phones. Let me know what you think is the better one. Again, it's majorly the difference of colors. Now that Samsung can do 4K 60 and switch all the lenses, it results in some of the smoothest transitions I've ever seen on a phone, especially from Samsung. As for low light / night video performance, I think Apple is still doing a little bit better job at handling the noise compared to the S24 Ultra, especially when the scene gets really dark. But we do have a lot of improvements this time around with the night video performance. It's not that much of a big gap, to be honest, this time. But let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. As always, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Also, don't miss out on the incredible Samsung discount that is currently on the S24 Ultra for the pre-order period. Again, the links are mentioned in the description. With that being said, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.